All right. Well, hello everyone. Once again, thank you for tuning in for our today's. This is actually our first webinar. I'm here in the AWS user group in Tashkent, and today our guests are Rostyslav Myronenko. So he's a solutions architect at Booking.com. And we also have a guest from AWS, Egor Miasnikov. He is also a solution architect at AWS. And today, our two experts will be sharing their experience and basically telling us about everything that is about certification. So be it about the AWS certifications or like any other. So feel free to just like drop your questions if you guys have some within like our session, and we'll be tackling them while we are like within the session itself. And yeah, so we actually don't really have, let's say, like a fixed agenda. But without further ado, I think I'll just pass my word to Rostislav. Rostislav, take it over.
Hey everyone, thank you for inviting me to the session. I would say to my former EPAM and AWS colleagues, but anyway, it's nice that we stay in touch, and that's why I have such an opportunity to join the session today. Before we started, I wanted to clarify, like, is it in a conversation format, or I just take first half an hour and I just say everything I would like to say and that's it?
Well, why don't we just get started with like in a presentation fashion? Then we'll just leave some time to Q&A. That's all right with you.
Okay, so then I will start. So my name is Ross, just Ross because my full name is pretty complicated to pronounce for everyone across all the times. So right now I'm a solution architect in Booking.com, and I mostly work with AWS, how to migrate, how to leverage something for AWS, some POCs, and so on and so forth. So because I have right now 5 active AWS certifications, I believe that actually they helped me to find this job and change my life. But yeah, I would like to share with you my experience with AWS certifications and some thoughts about like what would help you and would you benefit from it just like me, or you don't. So regarding, yeah, so actually I want to make 3 parts of my talking. I haven't prepared anything, but I will just show you everything which is available in internet and tell you my personal experience. I hope it will be enough. Anyway, we will have Q&A session later, and also you're always welcome to reach out to me using, let's say, LinkedIn. I believe that anyone who is interested can find my profile. So I'm always open to a dialogue. So feel free to reach out to me in case of any further questions. Yeah, so 3 parts are first about AWS certification itself. Second part is about how to prepare and pass an AWS exam. And the third part is rather thinking about, like, is it worth to invest your effort and time to prepare and to get an AWS certification or not? So I will try to share my screen. Oh gosh, I haven't allowed my laptop to share it yet. Sorry.
While we are doing it, just want to once again highlight that just feel free to drop your questions in the chat or just unmute yourself, and we'll be answering them as we go.
Yeah,
Okay.
I have one question, the main
Sure.
question. So, Rost, your AWS certifications help you to join Booking.com?
So actually, I believe so. While to be honest, during the interview process, I believe there was nothing specific related to scope of AWS exam, but like because I'm a holder of 5 certifications at all, this was something like from the beginning I was a candidate with a really good fit to the architect position. So I believe that like it helped for the overall process to run smoothly, and also maybe do not ask me a lot of basic questions, because it was clear with that with all those certifications, like it doesn't make sense to ask me, for instance, I don't know about DynamoDB versus RDS, because this is something very easy, and that's why this is just my assumption. I can't say that it really helped, because I just unmeasurable, but I have a strong feeling that it helped.
Guys, I'm sorry, I'm on one of the participation. I cannot send any message to the chat because I'm not a member of the chat. Is it possible to fix it somehow?
I will try.
Thank you.
Meanwhile, you should be able to see my screen now with AWS certifications.
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. So basically, like, AWS certifications, nothing special. Everything is available at the official AWS web pages. And if we will just go to it, so you can see that basically they all are split in 4 groups. The first one is basic one, with the only certification of AWS Cloud Practitioner. Then we have the next level. I'm not sure. Okay, there is no any like levels. So yes, so basic one is foundational, which is as mentioned, Cloud Practitioner. The more complex is associate level, with the certifications of solution architect, associate, developer associate, and sysops administrator associate. Then the yet another next level is from this chain is professional level, with 2 of professional certifications, which are architect and DevOps, and specialty is something a bit different, and usually they are not the same scale as previous certifications. I would say that by its complexity level, they are closer to professional ones, with the only difference of while architect professional and DevOps professional are cover really wide amount of different services, their capabilities, as well as in-depth knowledge for some main areas, while specialty tied to only the scope of itself. Like, for instance, we can see database specialty exam. So it is obvious that during this exam, you will not be asked about something related to machine learning, most likely, because it just doesn't make sense at all. But they are still really complex. From this chain, what again, from my experience and from experience of my colleagues, what I would say. So the basic one, which is Cloud Practitioner, while it is officially recommended to start your AWS or certification journey by passing this exam, but to be honest, I would say that it makes sense only in 2 situations. The first one is if you are a non-technical, if you have a non-technical role, and that's why you most likely you will not benefit from all those all other certifications, because all of them are very technical. But with Cloud Practitioner, you will be aware of all this, so you will have this solid background without any technical specifics, just something like how to translate basic AWS terminology to business language and vice versa, and be aware of what exactly happens, like if anyone says something about, for instance, Amazon S3, by preparing and passing the certification, even if you are really non-technical person, but you'll be aware of actually what is Amazon S3, what are the main use cases of it, and maybe understand some background of a particular discussion. So this is the first group of situations where you could benefit from practitioner exam. And second one, as I'm saying, is if you have a lack of self-confidence, for instance, if you have been working with different technology, with other technologies, and you have not worked with AWS as well as any other public cloud yet, it makes sense just to start from this exam, just to ensure yourself that actually you can do that and you can pass an exam. And basically that's it. So that's why I do not see any reason, and especially if you have some experience with AWS, or you are confident that you are able to pass an exam which is more complex than this basic one, then it makes sense to start from associate level. Again, so associate level, yeah.
Yeah, so I have a question regarding that. So what do you think if our students, so we are related that Myasnikov School currently run the first iteration of AWS fundamentals, which are prepare students to pass the fundamental exam, so practitioner in this case. And I think audience of this course is the students who are just joining IT, and they are drilled down to the JavaScript and all this stuff around that. And what do you think? It's worth to get this certification as the first one in IT, in their IT journey, or what do you think?
In this situation, I think it makes sense, because most likely because it's a program, maybe like this exam will be covered somehow by university or any other sponsor, and because like students are a group, so just to ensure that even the weakest student in the group is able to achieve some results, it makes sense to like let everyone pass this exam, because otherwise, for instance, if we will take for the beginning the more complex exam, it might be that some students really would face significant issues during preparation and trying to pass that. And if someone fails, then you see like it would not be good for a from the perspective of like, I don't know, like this spirit of this group or educational process, because people will see difference, and especially if anyone will realize, oh my God, I'm weaker compared to my group mates. In the end, it will be just a huge demotivating factor to go ahead, and that's why in this situation, if there is no any individual approach, then I think it's a good situation to start from practitioner due to all those reasons. But again, this is if I can discuss it with someone from the university who runs this program, just to expand on what I'm saying about, if it makes sense. Again, please reach out to me and I can help with that.
Oh, all right. And the second one, the second question regarding that. So, what do you think that the students who are just go through the course and they know what is JavaScript front end and Node.js, for example, and already get the certification, so they try to build a LinkedIn profile for get the first job, for example, like junior cloud developer, it's worth it to show it as the achievement that you already know some technologies and stuff like that. So this is not related to AWS actually. Maybe I know that Node.js also have such certification. And what do you think about certifications and showcasing them?
So for such people, I think the practitioner doesn't make sense too much because it's rather non-technical, as I said. So I think for such people, it makes sense to focus on developer associate certification because it's really rather for development people who has a solid experience or at least a solid knowledge in one of the top programming languages, and also with the certification. So yeah, so actually I planned to say it anyway. Yeah, but with the certification, it just will prove that you have this knowledge of AWS, and to get a first job, like let's say I'm a person who knows Java and I have some pet projects, but I do not have any production experience yet. It's one story, but if I will have the certification and I will apply for a job which requires someone who knows both programming language and some AWS, then I believe it is like more interested because certification just proves that actually you really have this knowledge and some hands-on experience in AWS. And that's why I compare it to a candidate without anything. Candidate with a certification is, I believe, much better because again, it's a proof of that you can.
Okay, great. So when you are, so maybe you as solution architect at Booking.com, right? So you maybe participate in the hiring process, and when you have two profiles, which no names, right? And you have like experience in pet projects and certifications and without certifications. So this is like help you to understand the level of the candidate.
Okay. Answering this, so because I have recently joined the company by the company terms, okay. So I joined Booking only in December, and I'm not a part of the hiring process yet. But anyway, and even without like any NDAs and so on and so forth, I know just nothing. But I would say that for me personally, the like soft skills and like how to say it, let's say people quality, I'm not sure if such term is in English, okay. But I would say that it's more important because in that certification, yeah, while it proves something, but you are still need to work with a person, not with a certified someone. And that's why for me, like if I see that like it's a good candidate, I mean just by internal feeling and by his or her soft skills, and if the amount of knowledge is decent enough to apply for the role. For me, if he or she has AWS certificates or any of them or just nothing, I wouldn't say that it's important because like okay. It's clear that if in case of any need, a person might be able to pass an exam if he or she would have a reason to do so.
Yeah, thank you very much. So I know that this is a tough question, yeah, so, but thank you for answering.
Yeah, but maybe in later I will again say more about this particular stuff because it's rather like about philosophy, like whether anyone needs a certification or doesn't. Yeah, so that's why. Yeah, so yeah, if you are a technical person and if you have some self-confidence, then it makes sense to start from the associate exam, and usually a typical path for a technical person is just to take architect associate and developer associate, both of them in any order. Because the difference actually is that for an architect, it's rather about wider knowledge. I mean, without diving deep into particular things, just be aware of the major AWS services, their major capabilities, major use cases, as well as something related to well-architected framework. Again, not diving too much into that, but at least be aware of, like, there are some best practices, there are some white papers where you could find useful information related to your particular use case, and start your journey from it. And for developer, it's rather, from developer perspective, I would say that it's mostly on it's not so wide as the architect associate one, but it's rather about, let's dive deeper into something like, okay, you have, or for instance, let's take Lambda functions as an example. So for instance, for the architect, you should be aware of all the major Lambda capabilities, some stuff. I will not touch it right now because it's either known or it's easily searchable. While for developer, it's more about like how to organize your Lambda function, like not be aware of the Lambda function itself, but be aware of how to write a code for a Lambda function. So that's why both those two certifications are a good fit together to get this solid technical knowledge of AWS. For sysops administrator associate, I have not passed it, so I can't comment on that. But yeah, but I believe that we could just add it like again to improve the sound background. And again, from my experience, it's usually like, while developer associate is mostly for developers, while this one is mostly for DevOps or system engineers. But again, it's up to you, but you could just pass all three of them and that's it, and without like focusing on a particular role, because if you will learn and scope of the, for instance, developer certification, if you're a DevOps, but anyway, like it's all about like because DevOps, there is a dev, and right now it's hard to say like there is a significant difference, and in the end, you will still get knowledge which will be useful for your particular job or role which you are playing. Okay, and the higher level is professional. So professional, they are built on top of associate exams. The difference is that they are much more complex compared to associate level, and they first of all, they test you much deeper in your knowledge and understanding of how it works. Also, they have a wider scope compared to associate exams. For instance, if we will compare as architect professional to architect associate, in architect professional, there I can say much more, but like the scope of architect professional includes, for instance, all this VPC stuff, like how to configure VPC, how to peer VPCs, different typical VPCs topologies and services or configuration capabilities, how to either isolate or how to connect them. While for architect associate, it is not covered, and it's just enough just be aware of what is VPC and all the basic stuff, like there's public subnets, private subnets, route table, security groups, network access control lists, and basically that's it. Yeah. And also for professional ones, so again, I will not check it right now, but there are some, for all the AWS certifications, there are some official requirements which say that, hey, you need this number of years of experience in AWS, or you need this number of projects which use AWS, which you designed or developed, but I believe that it's all about you, because if you will just compare yourself to, just like if you're trying to, I don't know, if you apply for a new project, or if you apply for a new job, like if you will just compare yourself to every point of some of those requirements, Usually, I believe that it's pretty rare case when there is someone who matches all the requirements, and it's usually like everyone should have a chance. And I believe the same works for certification as well, even without, for instance, for architect, yeah, let's say it is 3 years, but if you have not 3 years, but 2 years or year and a half, if you think that you could do that and you have a strong either willing or motivation why doing this certification, I believe that with proper preparation, you could still pass it while you like formally you do not match all the requirements. Yes, so for architect,
yeah,
so
one
yes,
note here, Rost. So we have discussion in the chat actually, and the worth to mention that these 2 years which you mentioned, this is working with AWS, not in development or other area in IT. So this is all about the cloud and AWS. So you have you could have like 3-4 years in development in front end, for example, but you don't know anything about AWS. So it does mean that you have like readiness for go to the pro because you have like 5 years in IT development.
Yeah, and for those who are watching the recording in the future, so the question was, so if you have like 2 years of experience, are you like, is it all right to go to the AWS Associate Developer Certification? So the answer is yes. So basically, it's really matters, I guess, on your AWS experience rather than on your like development experience.
Sorry, was it the question?
No, that was just a recap of what we just discussed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. So yes, so it's all about you, sir. But please be aware that the professional certifications are really complex, and like if you have started learning AWS only 2 months ago, most likely it would be really hard to prepare for those exams. So it would be better to pass associate ones. But there is a good thing that if you pass as a professional exam, it automatically renews your associate exams. And that's why passing architect professional exam, you will automatically renew your architect associate exam. This is what I tested, like because when I passed a professional one and there was some pass date, the same pass date was applied to my architect associate certification while it happened about a year before, I would say. And for DevOps engineer, I believe it renews developer and SysOps administrator as well. So that's why like bottom line is if you will just keep your professional certificates active, it means that you will have active all those 5 as active. I mean, all the associate ones plus 2 professional. And that's, and practitioner is just out of scope because actually, by the way, also practitioner does not have an expiration date. So that's why I'm saying that you really don't need to start your journey by passing it unless you have some particular reasons. And now about special, yeah.
Yeah, sorry. Victor Vedmich joined us during the session. So welcome, Victor.
I joined at the start. I didn't turn my camera because I don't want to miss up like Victor joined. So my question, Rost, for you. I have 6 questions, which I already read into the chat. And honestly, one of my...
Vita, can I... the small question regarding the past, what mentioned Rost, and after I pass in word to you. One small question,
Please.
All right?
Yeah.
So Rost, maybe you know, if I go directly to the professional, does it mean that I renew or get the associate level, or I still need to pass it?
It's a good question. To be honest, I don't know, because I assume that associate one might be a prerequisite for a professional one, but I have not tried it, so that's why I am not 100% sure. But This is something I believe it should be searchable across internet. I believe this case is covered somehow, but I don't know. I assume that I would say that maybe 80% chance is that you need associate 1 as a prerequisite, but I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, thank you, Vita.
Yeah, my questions. How you spend your time for preparation? Just imagine the situation that I'm going to pass, I don't know, like say pro during the next 2 months. And I don't know, I already passed, I don't know, essay associate. What's your recommendation? How to, like, everyone of us, like, working for projects, have, I know, some duties, family, I know, friends, children, cats, dogs, all of this stuff. Yeah, and our personal life is also very, very important. How you effectively spend the time, what you have for preparation. Like, for example, during the evening, I say like 3 or 2 times during the week, I have 2-3 hours. What's your most best practices?
Okay. So actually, it relates to things that I was trying to tell you. So my answer will be maybe wider than you Victor expected, but I will answer it anyway. So for preparing to an exam, it's obvious that you have to be prepared from the theory perspective. And here I would say that you could just take any theoretical course on any learning platform which is available to you and which you personally likes. I mean, it could be, for instance, Udemy, it could be Coursera, it could be AWS Skill Builder, it could be Cloud Guru, anything, but either by advice or by your knowledge that it works for you, or just if you just like this content, because if you see that this course is just boring you every day, maybe it's a good idea just try another course. Yeah, so having all this work-life balance, I would say that you just need some self-control just to invest this time which is available to you per some schedule which works for you as well. So let's say, given your Victor example, for instance, you have 2 hours or 3 hours per week. Let's try to build a schedule, just understand, okay, how are you going to spend all this time within a single day, like on Saturday or on Saturday, or for you is better like to spend half an hour maybe every working day. So the goal is just to not lose your progress and just get small progress every week. And it's all about your personal preferences. Like if you prefer half an hour after your working hours, it's fine. If you prefer 3 hours on Sunday, that's fine. Like just to find that schedule that firstly do not impact your personal life or your working life, and also something that is not hard to you, because all of us have different how to say it, life style, working style. And like, I mean that, for instance, for someone it would be okay even to learn in the morning, while for me I prefer to get up later. So that's why I know that for me learning at 8 a.m. every day is not a good idea.
What about some notes, like, for example, what's your approach when you prepare for certification? Do you do some notes, I mean, like to write down on, I don't know, like to use classical paper notebook, for example, or you use like some electronic personal note, or what's your approach? Because my questions here, it's mostly related to the size of certification. It's very difficult to remember everything, but at the same time, before the exam, you should, as much as possible, to put it in your head and remember all of the stuff. What's your approach?
So this is what I was planning to recommend you as well. So let's say you found a decent theoretical course, you passed it, and now it's time to think about the exam. So Victor mentioned those are quite valid points. So that's why for an AWS exam, ideally you should be prepared from the practical perspective as well. It means that you should train yourself to be in this exam mode, to be concentrated, and also to just train this skill to walk through a question and like an outline. Okay, what are the reasonable options for this question? That's why for me, and this is what I strongly recommend to everyone, I just prepare tests in addition to theory. I will just send all the links after the meeting, because for myself, again, this it was not my invention. It was an advice which I received from one of my colleagues. So just to take a course which trains you to answer test questions. So it is correct that like it's impossible to memorize everything, but with such kind of a preparation, because you just train yourself, as I mentioned, to be in this exam mode and to save your energy, like to be very effective by using this time which is available to you. That's why by training tests, how it works. So, for instance, there are in Udemy there are some some courses with tests, and they, for instance, for associate one, let's say architect associate, there are 6 exam-like test suits. I mean that six sets of 65 questions each, and those questions are frequently updated. So, but if you will just try to pass all of them, how it works, it is impossible again to memorize it. But while you're trained this, like, okay, I have this time, I have this number of questions, I have to answer all of them, and you are just training yourself for this mode, and as well as you train some knowledge gaps. For instance, yeah, if you take a theoretical course, but for instance, if it was bad and it doesn't cover something, by practicing tests, you will realize, oh my God, actually, I don't know almost nothing in this area, or I do not understand a lot of things here. And this is like yet another like double check that you're ready. And so for me, the ideal recipe is I just take theoretical course, I just take a practical course. And the only question is how many times do I need to pass both, even if I have 3 hours per week. Again, it's only a matter of time. You just divide your multiply. divide your course time to your time available for you per day or per week, and you will get a number of weeks or months which you need to be prepared. And that's it. And for me, it works just fine, because I tried this approach for my first certification, which was Architect Associate. And I realized that actually, yeah, it really works. Theory plus practice, and just be in this mode, be ready for this exam mode, and that's it. And that's why I used the same approach for the next certifications, and every time it worked for me just perfect. So this is my approach. This is my advice, which I would like to give to you.
Sounds cool. Sounds cool. And maybe my last question. Maybe you can share your approach, how you read questions, because I know that sometimes people try to find some keywords in the question. Because, for example, if you are going to pass Essay Pro, in the questions can be so huge, and it needs to really quickly to read the question and understand what's going on, and understand what's the difference between options, because in the options is also a couple sentence, and the difference only in words. Like, what's your approach? How you read? Maybe you have some.
Okay. So how I did that, and because I passed this exam about a year ago, so it works. So I was prepared in such a way that I just described to you. So what would be good? Because actually in every exam, AWS exam, usually not all the questions are large, right? So usually there are some short questions, there are usually some much longer questions. So how I did my exam? I just used all the things which, by the way, are officially, I believe, recommended by AWS. I did just to control your time. So what happened? When I joined the exam, I just started to my first iteration, walking through all the questions. And what I did, because I had this fresh mind, I just started answering all the either short questions or questions where the right answer was clear after the first reading, because it happens. And that's why for this first iteration, I just passed through all the exam questions. And in the end, maybe I answered, I don't know, maybe 20 of them, let's say. I don't remember the exact numbers. But why it was good? Because I, assuming that I was right, and I didn't mess up everything, but like assuming that the questions were clear. So that's why I already I guaranteed for myself this, assuming that I gave all the answers were correct. So I guaranteed for myself this one third part of the points available. Then I started yet another iteration, and how I did so then, and now I started to spend more time. And if I understood that actually the question is too long and too complex, I just flagged all those questions and moved it to the end, to my last iteration. Because again, if you could just waste a lot of time by sitting on a hard question, and that's why I don't recall who said it, but someone said there are much easier questions which are waiting for you to be answered while you are just stuck on this hard one. Yeah, so that's why I just okay, too complex right now. I just flagged it and moved to another question, and that's why during my second iteration I just answered more questions which were more complex compared to the simplest one in this particular suite. And maybe the third iteration was when I was able to answer whatever had, let's say, medium complexity level. Then I started to spend all my rest of my time by trying answer those long and hard questions. And how it worked, so I believe that maybe I missed some of them. I mean that I realized that actually I just can't figure out what is the right answer. I just skip them, and in the end, I just flip the coin. Okay, I can choose usually how it works. So let's say you have 4 options, 2 are obviously wrong, and you have to choose between 2 other options. But if you can figure out, so I just let it be option 1 or option 2. So bottom line is that you have to follow this process. You have to start from the shortest and from easiest questions, and then just flag and leave everything complex to the end, because otherwise you will just not use your time effectively, and you will not have enough time to answer simple questions if you waste all the time on hard questions. And just to finish the story, because this is actually I did during the exam, just by understanding I need to be as much effective as possible from time management perspective. So how it works, so when I actually architect professional was the hardest one for me, and when I use this approach which I just described, when I finally answered the last question and I realized, okay, that's it, I can't improve it, I have no enough time and energy, I had something like 1 or 2 minutes left of the exam. But sorry, but adding extra note, maybe it was what I did as well. So if you still have enough time, in the end, it may be a good idea just to revisit all the questions. Just again, if you answer everything, just to walk through the whole test suite again, just to ensure that there is nothing that now worries you. Because again, it may be that Again, it depends on your personal, how to say it, your personal characteristics. Okay, let's say, because for instance, yes, so if you will start from those easy questions, but you're not in this, maybe you're not in this exam mode yet, but in the end, when you are really in this exam mode, it might be that actually like you can just find that, oh, I just didn't read some words because like I was not concentrated in the beginning, and actually I gave a wrong answer, but while the right answer is different. Just to double check, just to ensure that you did not do any like stupid mistake and to not lose some points.
Right. So we have a little over 10 minutes. So maybe we should also spend some time discussing the resources, I believe. Rostislav, like, how do you prepare for an AWS certification exam? So you already have like 5 of them. You probably have, let's say, like a big list of resources. Maybe you could share some of them.
Yeah, sure. I will send the links to you after just after the session. So again, like no advertising. As I say, it's all about you, because something that works for me, it doesn't mean that it works perfect for all of us. But this is from what I started, and this is what I realized works for me. So I use Udemy always, because in Udemy there are good teachers, which are, I believe a lot of you know them. The first one is Stefan Marek. I believe that from the theory perspective, he's a really good guy, because his theoretical courses are really nice, and like it is easy to understand him and to get this theoretical knowledge. And the second teacher is John Ponso. I like him really because he has those practical suits with usually with a decent number of questions to be prepared for this practical aspect of your exam. So this is what I was advised by my colleague. So he just told me, hey, take this course, take this course, and both the courses of those guys in Udemy. And when I got success with it, I tried it another time, and I got success as well. So that's why I just keep using Udemy and courses from those teachers, just because it works for me. But as I'm saying, you are always welcome to try other courses. But I would say that while for theory you could try other teachers or other resources as well. But for practical part, I have not seen anything better than those courses of John Ponso and Udemy. So I would strongly recommend to take his courses in addition to any theoretical course.
All right. So, like, do you combine like multiple courses at the same time, or like how do you even build up your, let's say, learning path for that, for any given certification?
So what I usually did, so I just took I started from this theoretical course which is found. So let's say I'm preparing, I will give an example. So for instance, I'm preparing to an exam, I don't know, architect associate. So what I do, I just take this course, I just start passing it just by watching all the videos, trying all the hands-ons, trying to understand what is happening inside. But if on this way I understand, oh, I did not understand something, or I'm just curious, okay, what will happen if I will do something different? I just try to either just Google it or find another course which can answer this particular question. But once I found an answer to whatever I was interested in, I just returned back to this main course, let's say baseline course, and just kept going until I finished it. And for theoretical course, I didn't take anything else. I just was focused on passing and all those tests, because They also, why I like this teacher, because he not only says that, hey, this is the right answer, but he has very, unfortunately, because like it's my working laptop, I didn't log in into my account, but he gives a very large explanation why this it is the right answer. So that's why I like his courses. Because, for instance, for a single question, the explanation of the right answer might take, let's say, I don't know, 2 pages, or 2 pages, like with diagrams explaining why this option is the right answer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
did you use any?
Actually,
yeah, Egor, go ahead. Go ahead.
Actually, I also like the such preparation, multiple courses which I used for preparation for certification have like deep, provide you deep knowledge into the service and how it works in the basement level. So it helps you not only answer the question on the certification, but also have a knowledge to understand how it works under the hood. For example, you know how work networking, right? So this help you to answer many questions on the associate, professional, or even specialty exam in advanced networking, for example. But you are starting learning how it works, you understand it, and that's all. So after that, you are just solving the problems which ask you on the exam to solve it. For example, you need to fix the firewall, and they are help you to understand how to do it properly. So not only know the answer.
Yeah. By the way, I can maybe I can give a good example of, for instance, how this chain of preparation works and how it helps you in real life. For instance, you know that for Lambda functions we have a limitation of 1,000 concurrent invocations per any point of time by default for a single account in maybe this region. Okay, I'm not sure. But anyway, yeah. So for instance, so when you're learning about lambdas, you have not knew anything before. So you will just read, okay, there is a limitation. Okay, good to know. But in the end, most likely you will just forget that lambda has this limitation. But when it comes to practical preparation, you will face a lot of tests, I would say, that are trying to trick you in this concurrency limit. And for instance, yes, so depending on the situation, if you knowing that you have this limit, for some cases, definitely lambda due to this limitation will not be an option. And after facing, let's say, 5 questions or 10 questions which are trying to treat you in this concurrency limit to understand, just to calculate and understand, is it okay for you? Are you below this 1,000 or are you up to this 1,000? So you will really remember that, yeah, we have this limitation and we always need to count our lambda invocations to understand if we are inside this limit or we don't. And just like in production, for instance, again, there are some designs created by development teams where they are going to use lambdas as their compute component. But when it comes to, okay, so how many requests your lambda function will handle within like 1 minute or 1 hour, and it really happens when people just give the number or just count and give the number, and it becomes clear that actually lambda is not an option because lambda will just not handle the incoming amount of requests.
All right, so I have another question about the questions in the certifications. I mean the questions in the exams. I heard that some of the questions though are not assessed during the exam. So those are like let's say you may answer them correctly, you may not, but either way you can't really tell whether you will get some points for that or not. Can you did you have any let's say any specific thoughts about that? Like what is the purpose of dealing with those types of questions?
To be honest, maybe I just don't know the answer. Like, you just have to be prepared and do your best during the exam, and just hope that it was enough to give the passing score.
All right. Okay, so we have only 2 minutes left, so I think we already answered most of the questions in the chat. Why don't you just give us like some best practices, or even like maybe you could share some more strategies basically for passing the AWS certification exams.
I would say you could try the approach which I just told you. Just try one course, second course, and see if it works, and just experiment, because I believe that after your second certification, you will know what works best for you. And to pass any new one, it's only a matter of time. And yeah, in the end, it's not so hard how it should be. It's all about your time and your personal preferences, how to be well prepared. And it's I believe that everyone from our group can pass all the AWS certifications. We just need enough time.
All right. All right.
Yeah,
well,
totally agree. And one note, so if you pass all the 12 certification, AWS certification, you get the golden jacket, the special recognition from AWS.
Is it actually made out of golden stuff, or?
Actually, I don't know. I'm still not don't have it, but I think it's like a golden color. So I know that it's golden color, but I'm not sure that it's fully golden actually. From
yeah,
the
is
gold.
it like a is it like a physical jacket, or it's like a badge?
Yeah, it's a physical jacket.
Physical jacket. It's a real physical jacket. If you pass all,
sounds good.
Yeah. It's real gold physical jacket. It's real gold. I mean, like 700 blah 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 components of gold on your jacket. Yeah.
Good. That's a goal.
So
all right.
You would be so clever. You won't be able to go up
with this jacket.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Well, let's wrap the session up, I guess. So we are pretty much on time. Once again, thank you, Rostyslav, for being here. Thank you for sharing your experience. It was wonderful, and thanks a lot for like all the resources and stuff that you just shared. And thanks, Egor and Victor, for making a good company for us here. All right, sweet.
No problem.
Thanks everyone. Yeah, have a good rest of your day. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Cheers.
Bye. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye. Thank you.